TikTok has convinced millions of people that their belly fat, their acne, their brain fog, and their exhaustion all share one villain: high cortisol. But here's the problem. Most of those people probably do not have high cortisol at all. And the real story is far more interesting than anything you have seen in a 60-second video. Cortisol is everywhere right now. Search it on any platform and you will find thousands of creators selling supplements, breathwork routines, and morning protocols, all promising to fix your chronically elevated stress hormone. But what if the whole premise is off? What if the thing actually wrecking your energy and your body composition has almost nothing to do with cortisol being too high? And here's something I want you to hold on to, because we are going to come back to it. The people most likely to have a real cortisol problem are not the ones who are chronically stressed. They are a completely different group, and the answer will probably surprise you. Let's start with what cortisol actually is, because most of the content out there gets this fundamentally wrong. Cortisol is a glucocorticoid hormone produced by your adrenal glands. It is often called the stress hormone, and that label has done enormous damage to help people understand it. Because cortisol is not a bad hormone. It is a survival hormone. It regulates your blood sugar, it modulates your immune response, it controls inflammation, and critically, it follows a natural rhythm, peaking in the morning to wake you up and dropping through the day so you can sleep at night. Without cortisol, you would not be able to get out of bed. People with Addison's disease, a condition where the adrenal glands do not produce enough cortisol, are genuinely debilitated, fatigue so severe they can barely function. So the idea that you need to suppress cortisol to feel better, that already starts to fall apart. Now here is where it gets interesting, and this is the first thing TikTok almost never tells you. Chronically elevated cortisol, the kind that actually causes the symptoms people online are describing, is genuinely rare. The clinical condition is called Cushing syndrome. It involves a tumor, usually on the pituitary gland or adrenal glands, that causes the body to overproduce cortisol nonstop. Cushing syndrome affects roughly 10 to 15 people per million annually. The symptoms are very specific: a distinctive fat deposit at the base of the neck called a buffalo hump, a rounded face, purple stretch marks, and severe muscle weakness. If you do not have those specific signs, Cushing's is almost certainly not your issue, and neither is chronically high cortisol. So what is actually going on with all those people who feel wired and tired, who carry weight around their midsection, who feel anxious and inflamed and mentally foggy? Here is the real answer, and it is almost embarrassingly simple. They are probably experiencing normal cortisol spikes in an abnormal lifestyle context. Think about it this way. You sleep poorly, which is already an inflammatory event. You skip breakfast or undereat, which triggers a cortisol release because your body thinks there is a scarcity threat. You drink 3 coffees before noon, which directly raises cortisol. You sit for 8 hours, which blunts insulin sensitivity and shifts fat storage toward the abdomen. You scroll your phone right before bed, suppressing melatonin and delaying sleep onset, which then raises next morning cortisol. Every single one of those things is pushing your cortisol rhythm out of sync, not making it chronically high, making it poorly timed. That distinction matters enormously. And now here's the part I teased at the beginning: the people most likely to have a genuine cortisol problem. It is not the chronically stressed executive. It is endurance athletes, specifically people who train very hard, eat very little, and sleep just enough to function. Relative energy deficiency in sport, sometimes called RED-S, is a condition where the body interprets chronic underfueling combined with high training loads as a survival crisis. Cortisol stays elevated not because of psychological stress, but because there is a real physiological deficit. Bone density drops, hormones crash, the immune system weakens. These athletes often look incredibly fit, but are biologically running on fumes. And most of them would never think cortisol dysregulation applies to them because they are not sitting at a stressful desk job. They are doing everything society tells them is healthy. So what does all of this mean for you practically? Let's get specific, because the fix is not a supplement. Let me say that again. The fix is almost never a supplement. Ashwagandha, phosphatidylserine, and adaptogenic herbs have modest evidence behind them in specific contexts. But if you are not addressing the behavioral drivers first, you are patching a leak with a bandage while ignoring the burst pipe. The single highest leverage thing you can do is protect your cortisol curve. That means getting morning light within 30 minutes of waking. Sunlight exposure in the morning naturally reinforces your cortisol peak at the right time, which then makes the evening drop more reliable. It means eating within 90 minutes of waking, because fasting in the morning is a cortisol trigger, not a metabolic boost for most people. And it means treating your sleep window as a non-negotiable, because poor sleep is the most potent disruptor of cortisol rhythm identified in human research. A single night of 4 to 5 hours of sleep measurably elevates next-day cortisol.
cortisol. That is not theory. That is well-replicated biology. The second action is this. Before you spend $1 on any cortisol-related supplement or protocol, ask yourself honestly whether your fundamentals are actually in place.
Are you sleeping 7 to 9 hours consistently? Are you eating enough, especially protein? Are you moving your body without chronically overtraining? If the answer to any of those is no, that is your intervention. The supplement companies need you to believe the problem is more complicated than it is. The research says it almost never is. Here is the final thought, and it might reframe everything. Cortisol is not your enemy. A broken lifestyle rhythm is. The hormone is just the messenger. When you see content telling you to suppress, block, or lower your cortisol, you are usually being sold something that skips the actual problem entirely. The goal is not lower cortisol. The goal is cortisol at the right level, at the right time, doing exactly what it was designed to do. And that comes from behavior, not a bottle. If this shifted how you think about the cortisol conversation, drop a comment below. I want to know what you believed before watching this and whether anything surprised you. Hit like if this was useful, and subscribe because we do this every week, taking the health topics everyone is talking about and cutting through to what the science actually says.